I once was traveling in the mountains of Africa, and I have seen a great plant called the mountain aloe, the Aloe Marlothii. It's like, nah, I've never been to Africa. So hopefully sometime I get to go, but stay tuned. I'll tell you about a couple tips to keep this plant alive. Yes, the Aloe Marlothii. I saw this plant. I said, looks like an aloe. Doesn't look like an aloe. But I'm thinking to myself, there's probably tons of different aloes, not the ones that we always see in the supermarket that that you can use to do things to your skin. I know I tasted aloe. It tastes horrible, but I know it does wonders for skincare products. Most of them are in there. It's the best thing you could probably use for your skin, but it's the nastiest thing you could ever taste. But it's an aloe that grows in the mountains, and it's probably designed for people in the mountains in that type of area. So just the relationship between the mountain area and where this grows, you actually got lotion just growing around in the spot where you need it at. And what a better design is that? So that's a beautiful thing. But yes, this is, I believe it grows in Zimbabwe and other parts of South Africa. It needs neutral soil, so acidic and alkaline. You want to probably keep it at a neutral level, most likely a 7. And you also want to remember that you want to keep it in a sandy, fast draining soil, because it is a succulent, and where it grows it's hot and there's not a lot of water, so you want to make sure that it gets its water but doesn't store it for over time. The root system basically is like every other aloe. It's a single root system, so it's like a long root that goes deep into the ground. So hopefully this don't go busting out the pot, but I'm going to probably choose it as it gets bigger, a longer pot as it grows up. But the leaves on it are very unique. You can kind of see they're fleshy. And they're kind of thick. And I was, on my ventures to different stores, mainly grocery stores, when I'm looking at plants. I go to the plant section that's probably the second thing I'm worried about. I just want to see what they got going. Sometimes you can catch a deal on a plant that you've never seen before, and that's what this happened to me. But I never seen it before, and it's kind of visually pleasing. It has like a different shape to it, so I said that's pretty cool. And I've been to a bunch of nurseries and I've seen quite a few plants, so when I saw this odd guy, and he wasn't in the best shape, as you can see, it's like got burnt leaves on the top. I should have talked to the store to see if I could get it discounted, because it's not in the best shape. So that's one thing I do. Like, say if I go to a nursery and I see like a bad plant, I will say, you know what, that plant, you got it regular marked for, I would say, whatever price. It looks kind of beat up. Can you give me a deal? I know they've probably worked hard to keep the plants alive. I don't know what nurseries go through, but you don't want to bring home a beat up looking plant for regular price. So they should kind of accommodate you or discount it based on price. And I just let this ride because I was kind of in a rush. But I was saying it doesn't look that bad, but once again it does have 2 beat up leaves on it. And I'll show you a picture of how it kind of does look right there. But once again, this is the Aloe Marlothii. It needs, like I said, bright indirect light, fast draining soil. I would water it probably every 2 weeks depending on the water. You could do the soil test. I just watered this about 2 weeks ago, and don't think I'm going to water it again. So it depends on also your humidity in your house. Now, a lot of people say a lot of certain things. I would just say I'm not an expert on plants, but I can keep a plant alive. I do have experience. My experience may not be as lengthy as others, or may be longer than others, but the basics that you want to remember with every plant is that you want to know where it came from, and you kind of got to mentally put yourself in that picture. So if you're in the States and you buy a plant from, let's say, Antarctica probably doesn't grow many plants because it's the bottom. Antarctica's on the bottom of the map, but it's frozen. So if a plant grew in Antarctica, you better make sure that it's getting probably tons of sun, because there's no trees around, and you better make sure that it's freezing on wherever you got it. So I'm exaggerating a little bit. So this comes from South Africa. I'm assuming South Africa has beautiful weather. It's a tropical climate, but it's also hot. So I'm not sure how well it rains in there, but this name of the plant is telling you it's in a mountain, so I don't think it rains a lot in mountains. So with that said, and it being an aloe, you also got to know it stores water in its leaves. So it is designed to not be watered a ton because it has water stored in its leaves. A lot of the thinner plants that you see, like a fiddle leaf fig, it's not storing any water in the plant. So what happens is when you water your plant from the bottom, and you really don't want to get your leaves of the plants wet, because actually all of the main organ of the plant is the roots, and that draws the water up through the leaves, and they were basically the pores or the cells in the leaves, usually in the morning. I would say, I'm not sure of the time length, but I know it starts in the morning when the plant gets some daytime, and it starts to open up its pores, and it lets out the water, and it evaporates through its leaves. So it opens up its pores, and then photosynthesis occurs, and it also basically releases the moisture that is stored into the plant through its leaves. So if you have a plant with a lot of leaves and they're large and you know where it comes from, usually it's opening up the leaves, so it does go through a lot of water. But this plant is pretty thick, so it could also do the same thing. I'm sure it's at a slower rate of water removal because those fleshy, thin leaves are basically filled with water. So it has a reserve, so it doesn't need a lot of water. So you can kind of paint your picture, or paint a picture to yourself when you're thinking, okay, aloe doesn't need a lot of water, so I'll back off on the watering. And that's like your main killer for plants. So just say no to a lot of water. Other than that, just pay attention to it. Pay attention to your plants, I would say, and put it in a nice pot so you can enjoy the way it looks, because it's a kind of 50-50 thing. You're breathing in the oxygen that the plant is emitting, and the plant is looking great in your house. So it's a 50-50 trade-off, I would say. But yet again, this is the Aloe Marlothii. I'll keep you guys posted on the growth. Have you ever had one? Let me know in the comment section below. And keep growing. Everybody, thanks for commenting on my pictures and on my videos. If you haven't subscribed, I'm sure you heard it a million times before, but please subscribe.